All right, we are now recording. That's exciting. Thank you all for coming and being part of our Tuesday at 10 SCA New Family Orientation meeting. Again, this is the first of 3 meetings like this that I will do over the next 3 weeks to help you all get accustomed to SCA and hopefully get off to a great start to a new school and a new year. This is a kind of a general, this morning is kind of a general information. We'll talk a little bit of the history of SCA and different things about that and things that you can expect. Again, if you would really help us out, if you make sure on your end you're muted. So we cut down on the background noise, and that's going to help us all here. So just make sure you're muted on your end. Again, we are recording this, and we'll place it on the SCA YouTube page, and then we will again place it. Send out another link. Hopefully, we can get people muted and quiet there. If not, it's okay. Hey, that's something we have all learned over the past couple of years. That sometimes it just doing things like this online is very convenient. It helps a lot more people be in one space at one time. But sometimes there's trouble. Again, so a couple of ground rules. I'm going to start up a PowerPoint presentation for you in just a minute. When I do that, I can't see a lot of the screen, and I will come back and forth a little bit to make sure people are let into the room, but I won't be able to answer anything that's in the chat. So if you have a question and you want to record it there, throw it in chat. And when I'm done with the presentation, I'll come out and read through the chat and answer those questions. Also, there should be a link to our Google form that you can enter a question ahead of one of these meetings, and I may even display it and be able to answer it before we get to it. So thank you again for being here. It's a whole room full of people. I am coming to you live from our parent room. This is a great place for new parents to get to know, volunteer, and do some volunteer work here at the school, committee meetings, things like that happen a lot here in our parent room. And I'm coming to you from our parent room today. So again, we are recording this session and we'll get it posted. So I'm going to start by getting my presentation here going. And I haven't done this in a while, so there we go. You should be able to see that. Again, this is the first of 3 presentations we will make. And I will hopefully get through this. You'll be able to see that and learn more about the school. If you attended one of our enrollment information meetings, some of this will be a repeat, but I won't go into the details that I've gone into at the enrollment information meeting. I'll go into detail about some other things that we talk about during the enrollment information meeting, but don't give you a lot of details. So welcome to our first new parent orientation meeting. First of 3. And again, I'll go through this presentation. If you do have a question, feel free to type it into chat. But no, I probably won't get to answering it until I get to the end of the presentation, which may be a half hour. We'll see how long it goes. So welcome to the Summerfield Charter Academy New Parent Orientation. Today's agenda, we're going to cover sort of some of the ABCs of SCA, which is a little bit of school background, school leadership, some school basics, and then how we like to communicate and what to expect in communication from the school. And then we'll go back to your questions there in the chat box, and you can ask more questions. And that'll be the end of this session. Next Tuesday, we will cover carpool and what to expect on kind of the first day of school and how to drive through our carpool. And then on Tuesday, the following Tuesday, we'll do more of a question and answer because that'll be the day before school starts. So this is our agenda for this meeting today. So a little bit about the school. Well, we are a part of a network of charter schools that is managed by National Heritage Academies. It's located in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It began in 1995 as Excel Charter Academy, so it's been around a long time. Manages over 80 schools in 9 different states, currently 14, but we have actually added a 15th and a 16th school this school year here in North Carolina. So we are growing leaps and bounds, charter schools in North Carolina. SCA was founded in 2012. Just a little bit of history. We were the 6th National Heritage Academy school in North Carolina, and now there are 15 or more all throughout North Carolina that have come in since we began back in 2012. So that's a quick history, and I am the founding principal. So let me share just a little bit about who our school leadership is. This is me. Really exciting there. 23 years at NHA. I know I don't look like I've been working anywhere for 23 years, right? I mean, surely this is my first job right out of college. But 23 years at NHA. I'm the founding principal here at Summerfield Charter. Before that, we're going into our 10th year. So this is like our 10th anniversary. That's kind of cool. But before that was previously as the principal at Greensboro Academy, about 5 miles south, our sister school there. I was there as principal for about 10 years as well. So I'm at some point this year, I'm going to hit the tipping point where I have been the principal longer at Summerfield than I was at Greensboro. I haven't quite figured out the actual date yet. I don't know that I'll pay that much attention to it. Before becoming the principal, I taught 4th grade there at Greensboro and was the assistant principal and then a principal. And I am born and raised in Greensboro. So this is kind of home for me. We live in Greensboro, kind of on the northeast side of town, grew up over there. So I'm the rare born and raised in Greensboro person. Something more a little bit about our school leadership is that we have a model that surrounds our students with a lot of support. And because we try to do our best to focus on our students, of course, the number one support your student's going to have is the teacher. That teacher is going to be supported by the dean. We have 3 deans. I'll introduce them here in a second. And then as a principal, I support all of them. Our deans, if you've been around much, are here at Summerfield. We have a K2, 3, 5, 6, 8 dean. Rebecca Swaim is our K2 dean. And what a dean does is kind of work with that section of the school. So Mrs. Swaim looks after the K2 teachers, the K2 families, the students, the parents. If there's an issue or a problem to deal with, she deals with the students in that and parents in that area. So they're kind of a mini principal over that age group of students. So Rebecca Swaim's K2. Heather Carlson, who has been here from the very beginning as a dean, is our 3-5 dean. Rebecca has been here for every year but one. She became a dean for another school in the Charlotte area, moved away for a year, but then came back to Summerfield. And then Miranda Robertson, starting her 6th year at SCA. This will be her 3rd year as a dean. So experienced dean team, experienced in teaching and instruction and working with parents and adults. And they're a great resource for you, new families, to get to know them. More people are coming in. I'll try to keep admitting them as I can. So that's a little bit about our school leadership. Some school basics that we want to go through. Some of the things that we say a lot. Why do we say them? What do they mean? Well, we're going to go over this, those types of things here, and you'll learn more about how the school kind of operates. One thing that we say, SCA is a student-centered, caring community of academic excellence. If you notice that, each phrase beginning with a letter from our initials there, SCA. So we're going to dive in that just a little bit more for each one. Again, I won't go into detail on every single point. We'll spend more time on the community piece, and we're going to get going. So let's talk a little more about being student-centered. I really think it centers around kind of 2 things: strong communication from our staff to you as parents, as families, to the community, and a real focus for us on challenge and growth. Students come to you, especially new students. You may be incoming as a kindergarten student. You may be coming in as an 8th grader. And so each new scholar is going to come in at a different level of achievement. Maybe they're very high achieving students, so they really need to focus on a challenge to help them grow academically. You may be coming in as maybe a struggling student, and that's all right. We take all comers, and so we want to take that student who is struggling, give them the support and needed to begin to rise and grow. So it's a real focus on challenge and growth for no matter what type of student comes our way. And when you're a new family, maybe this is your first new experience, your new parents, this is your first kid coming off to kindergarten, just know that we're going to love them and accept them and really focus our decisions on them and helping them grow both academically and morally. And we're really excited about that. If you are someone coming from another school where you didn't have a great experience and you think this place might be different, well, we're going to work really hard to hopefully be different and give you a great experience and make sure that we're meeting your academic needs and for your scholar, as well as trying to prepare them for life and building that moral character as well. So that's really where the term student-centered comes from. And so that's something that's important. I think I heard somebody else come in. Let some more people in the meeting here. That's great. And now let's talk a little bit about caring community. We're going to spend more time talking about the community piece, because when you join a new school, you come into a new place, when you get down to it, schools are kind of schools. You're going to come in, you're going to have a schoolroom, you're going to have a teacher, you're going to have classmates, there'll be desks, books, pencils, all of that going on. What makes a place different? What makes that community different? And so we'll talk a little bit more about this area than any of the other three. So it really focuses on these key terms. One of the biggest difference is one of our pillars is called our moral focus. We study a virtue of the month. We'll study it hard. We'll teach ways to exemplify that virtue in the classroom. It's a part of our studies. It's a part of our class. We actively teach it, actively show it, reward students for learning about it. Each month has a particular focus. For example, we don't have one for August because we only really have a few days of school in August. But in September, we'll begin to talk about wisdom, making wise choices. And we'll have a real focus on that as we go through the month of September. The parent leadership team. If you're a new parent to Summerfield Charter Academy, on open house night, a couple of Mondays from now, you will have an opportunity to go by a table in the gymnasium to sign up for ways to volunteer and be a part of our parent leadership team experience. The parent leadership team is the volunteer arm of our parents. It's all parent-led. There's lots of different opportunities and ways you can serve on different teams and committees there. Then you'll have an opportunity on open house night to learn more about those and ways that you can serve and be part of our community. Lots of things that our parent leadership team does for the school. There's lots of different ways to volunteer, things that come up as they help sponsor different events like our fall festival that will come up in October, different activities for our middle school and dance and activities, things that some of them had disappeared during the pandemic, but hopefully are making a strong comeback this year. There's lots of ways to get involved, and make sure you go by that table at open house night. It'll be in the gym. Parent expectations. We're going to talk a little bit about what we expect our parents to do here, and I think that's important for you to know. We feel that this education piece is a partnership. You have chosen us to partner with you and your family to help educate your scholar. And we don't take that lightly. It's a real privilege for us to have that type of relationship with you. But we want to make sure that you understand this is kind of what we expect. To make this relationship really work, there's some things we need for you as a parent and the leader of your home to help us with, to make sure you have the best experience, to make sure your scholar has the best experience, and then make sure that we can do the best for you. We have a unified dress code. This is all in your parent handbook that's online at our website. If you don't know where to locate that, make sure you find it there on our website. The dress code has expanded over the years. It's not as restrictive as it used to be, but you need to make sure you're aware of that. It helps create a unique community within the school and really even outside of the school as well. We're going to spend a little more time on behavior management and school safety because those are really important items at the school. And we want to make sure you're informed as a parent or guardian of a scholar as to what may happen if something goes on here at school. So those are really focuses of how we create our caring community, where we're going to dive into a couple of those issues a little bit more closely. Parent and guardian expectations. So what do we expect of you as one of our parents or one of our guardians, someone who has partnered with us to begin this relationship? Well, first thing, we want scholars here on time. That's really important. The day begins at 8 o'clock, and we need your scholar here in their seat, ready to go. Now, all of our kids have to come to us through carpool, so we don't have buses, things like that. So it's up to you as a guardian to make sure you have that morning routine that gets your scholar to the school, ready to learn, ready to go by 8 o'clock. That's an expectation for us. We understand that things happen. We understand that the car doesn't start one morning, or something runs late, or somebody gets sick. We all have that. I have 4 kids, and I used to bring them to school with me at Greensboro Academy, and I still remember the time we're almost at school and one of mine gets sick right there in the car. It was not a good morning. So things like that happen, but being on time is important to us. Coming dressed according to code is also important to us. We don't want to spend, as teachers, as leaders of the school, a lot of time negotiating with a scholar about whether or not they're in the proper code. We don't want to have to take that time. We don't have to take that effort. What we do want is them to come to school on time, dressed in code. So try to make sure you get a hold of that. We understand that you may be brand new, that you maybe need more information on that dress code, and we'll help you with that. But once you get that information, we'd really like our kids to come on time in code. And then the last thing I want to point out is that scholars need to be picked up on time. Again, our carpool will go, and we'll spend a lot of time next week talking about carpool. Carpool is finishing up. We'll normally finish up once the school year gets going about 3:40, 3:35 to 3:40 every day. And so if you're not here by then, you're late. Your scholar is going to be isolated. They're going to be spread out around the school. You're going to have to come inside. You're going to have to find them. You're going to have to sign them out. It inconveniences you. It inconveniences our teaching staff because they are the ones who have to take care of the scholars who are late, who are not picked up on time. So we don't want to put too many burdens on you, but be here on time, be here in code, leave on time. Those are some of the parameters we want to point out. And then at open house, you'll begin to see what is called our commitment to excellence contract. And that's a contract where you as a parent and your scholar and your teacher agree that this is how we want to operate this year. And we want your agreement. All of our families will be asked to be a part of signing this. We want 100% participation on this school contract. And that's what we kind of expect of our parents. We know it's a relationship, and we want to spend time helping you make sure that you can meet these expectations. So if you have trouble getting to school on time because you have a scholar who's having a hard time, we'll work with that scholar to help you at home to make sure you can get here on time. So those are kind of expectations of our parents. You're not required to volunteer. You're not required to be part of the committee, although we'd really like you to, and it'd be a great way to get involved. These are the types of things we'd really like to see from our parents. Let's talk a little bit about behavior management. Hopefully, you don't have any issues with behavior management because your scholars are so great and wonderful. There'll be no issues. However, sometimes scholars make some bad choices, and we have to manage that behavior. Part of it is the process of managing behavior at the school and how we have to react to it. We have a school-wide behavior management system. It's how we track and put together and look at the behavior of our scholars through the day, over the course of time. And we share that with you as parents. It's monitored around these three words: be respectful, be responsible, and be safe. Was the action you chose respectful? Was the action you chose responsible? Was the action you chose safe? And those are the three words we will manage and talk about a lot over the course of the school year, especially in regards to behavior. We specify, and I'll show you in just a second, when we are going to contact you as a parent. Doesn't mean we will only contact you during this particular moment. We may be contacting you much more, both positively and if something needs to be reinforced. But it lays out, if something like this happens at school, you will receive direct communication either from a teacher, a dean, or myself to have you a part of the discussion when it comes to discipline. We also use what is called the Give Them 5 strategy. It's called responsibility-centered discipline. It centers around 5 different kind of terms: support, breakdown, expectation, benefit, and closure. So when a student isn't able right now to show the type of behavior, make the type of choices, we're going to take them through this little cycle. We're going to make sure that they know we care about them by showing support. We're going to make it clear that what they have chosen to do is a breakdown of what the expectation in the classroom is. We want them to know what the benefit is for following that expectation and choosing a different behavior or response. And then we're going to bring it to a close. Now, not every time we give them 5 strategy, you're going to hear about that. Sometimes it's a minor incident that just needs a little correction. Sometimes it might be major. It could be a student who has lost some emotional control. And the first thing we want to do as a staff is make sure they begin to reestablish their own personal emotional control to be able to go forward and process what may happen. So I put together this little chart here. And this is the different levels. Now we have a pre-level 1, which we call green. Everybody starts on green every day. So if you're on green, you're good. Your behavior's fine. Not much going on. You may even be a positive reward. We do have a level up from that, but people colorize it differently. But you can be rewarded for extreme good behavior. I don't know why that would be extreme, but for positive behavior over the course of time. But if something happens in the classroom, a little small misbehavior, we call that level 1 or yellow. Now, it's level 1 or yellow. K-5 tends to use the color terms. The middle school tends to use the levels. But level 1 or yellow means the same thing. They're synonymous. And that's a small misbehavior in class, and it may be a small correction. Now, more than likely, before a student is given a yellow warning, they have been corrected already. If somebody's doing a little too chatty, the teacher's probably already come by and said, hey, let's calm it down here. Make sure you get back to work. They've maybe had a quick conversation with them. But if they have to come back the second time or maybe a third time, it's going to be, I've asked you 3 times now to make sure you're focusing on your work and not talking to your friends. And that's a yellow warning. Let's make sure we get that turned around. Now, there's no phone call home for someone with a general correction. There's no phone call home. There's no letters. Nothing else needs to be done. We just want to make sure that student knows you need to check your behavior and let's turn it around. Level 2 or blue, again, those terms are synonymous. That means the behavior wasn't turned around or the behavior is a little more extreme than a small misbehavior. So if a student receives a level 2 or blue warning, that's a contact from the teacher to the parent. It may or may not have consequences with it. It could be just a correction. I've spoken to him today about 5 times about making sure he is not talking to his friend when they're supposed to be working. That is now a level 2. I've contacted you. Could you please discuss with him and make sure tomorrow he comes in with more focus on helping us achieve this goal of him focusing on his work. Or it could be, so he had to do this in the classroom, or he didn't get to participate in this activity in class because he could not show the self-control that's needed. Let's help him show self-control. Now, a level 3 red means that some of the behaviors continued. And so if you get a level 3 or a red, you have gone past blue and you didn't correct the behavior. And now we're reporting back to the parents. This is what's happened. And this is the correction. This is where we think we want to help this person, this scholar, get better. Now, levels 4, 5, and 6, they're not color-coded because they're more extreme. And they're kind of unique. If a student becomes a level 4, that means over the course of time, he or she has had some small behavior issues, but they're continuous and not being corrected. And so we established a level 4 behavior plan. You would work with the parent, the guardian, the teacher, and your dean and or principal to establish kind of a corrective behavior plan, helping that scholar begin to see the positive behaviors, the positive things that we want to see. So that's a level 4 plan. Level 5s and 6s are more extreme. For example, these type of behaviors are things that could land you in a suspension. Level 5, for example, is fighting or cursing. Level 6 could be something that's even a little more extreme, bringing a weapon to school, for example, or not correcting a level 5 mistake. Bullying falls often in this category. So those levels 5 and 6 ends up with students who would end up being probably suspended from school for a lengthy amount of time. Level 6 could actually cause a student to be expelled from school. There's a lot of qualifications there, so it's really something that's important. So this is the way we track, we manage, and we promise you that when you hit those certain levels, you're going to get the contact from your teacher. So your teacher is able to look out at you and say, this is what happened in class, or we really need to go to a behavior plan. Levels 4, 5, and 6, you'll have a contact with the dean and or the principal saying, this event has happened in class, this or at school, this are the consequences, and this is how we need to deal with it. We always try to focus on having our scholars learn from whatever incident happened and be able to change and display positive behavior as a result of maybe a choice that wasn't the best. All that is laid out in your handbook as well, and you can read it there, but I wanted to go over that. School safety, really, really important. We all want a school safe environment. I'm very proud that it is one of our highest rated. It is our highest rated number on our staff survey, one of the very highest rated numbers on our parent survey. And so this is really important to us. And I believe we do a good job here, but it's really something that we'll spend a little time talking about. We talk about here being safety conscious. Staff will go through an extensive training before school starts. They'll go through social, emotional, and mental health training as a part of being school safety. We have a school safety, there will be a team that looks over things. So we want everyone to be safety conscious. October is, I believe it's October, is Safe Schools Month, where we will do things like decorate our doors about school safety. We'll do safety man appears. That's fun. And we do a lot of things to make sure we're safety conscious. We have a dedicated staff member and team. I am the safety man here at SCA. I serve with members of our school leadership team that are our safety team, and we evaluate and do safety checks over the course of the school year. Safety is a part of we build an atmosphere of school safety. Every staff meeting has a safety minute in it where we talk about upcoming safety drills or something we've learned about school safety. We want to make sure that everybody knows that being safety conscious is important. We also do regular practice and professional development. There's extensive training for staff before school starts. Over the course of the year, there are updates, and then we practice. Fire drills are monthly, lockdown drills at least twice a year. In fact, we're going to add a couple of more of those this year. Severe weather drill, which takes place in March, is important. We do things like a room clear. If something is happening in a classroom and the students need to move out of that classroom, it may not be a dangerous situation. It could be a student's misbehaving. a parent who is upset about something. We need our students out of that classroom and in somewhere safe. They do a room clear drill so that students know what to do if that type of thing occurs. So we do regular practice with our school safety as we go over the course of the school year, because it's important to stay updated. And then biggest part of school safety is access to the building. There are three entrances, really main entrances, and about three other doors that you can come into the school. All of those doors are locked, and they stay locked all day. No one should ever allow anyone in the school in any of those other areas outside of the front door. Now, our two front doors are unlocked during the school day, but the only place you can access if you come in those school doors is that small lobby. You then have to be granted buzzed into our school office from there. And so you have to show yourself. You may even have to show your license and things before you get in to where you could reach anybody else. So that is one thing that's really important, is access control of the building is the number one way to keep people safe. It's not the only thing that we look at when it comes to safety, because a tornado isn't knocking at the door and trying to get buzzed into the office, but we need to know what to do if it happens here. So access control of the building is extremely important, and we make sure we keep that locked up tight and are constantly checking doors. We stress to our staff, never prop a door open. If any door is propped open, a person needs to be standing in it. Like doors get propped open in the morning for carpool, but there's an adult standing in that door, ready to close it and lock it up and secure it immediately if something happens. So being safety conscious is really important to us, and we want to make sure that you feel safe and your scholar feels safe when you come to the building. I also like to point out, one of the things we say together all the time is our Stampede Creed. We'll say it every morning, and it's something that you can learn. We crafted it so that everybody can say the Stampede Creed. You don't have to be a student. You don't have to be a scholar. You just got to be part of the Stampede. And if you're one of our parents or guardians, you're a part of the Stampede, so you can say this with us too. So that's Caring Community. A little bit more about academic excellence. Again, we don't spend a lot of time here. You'll learn a lot about that over the course of the school year. We have rigorous academics with a college-ready focus. Now, we only go up through 8th grade, but we want our students on that track thinking about what do I need to do in high school to be prepared for that next step and to move into college. We do give homework. It's appropriate, and obviously kindergarten doesn't have the same amount of homework as 8th grade. A lot of it's practicing and reinforcing what we're doing in the classroom, and it lets you know what we're working on as a parent. And we've had some really strong verifiable results. You can go see our report card on our website. Last time the state gave out grades, we were an A, and we hope to move back to that A category this year if they give out grades at the end of this school year. So we'll see about that. But obviously over the past 3 school years, the measures have been a little different. But we've been doing, and we've made a lot of positive gains academically. So that's SCA. One other thing we say a lot about is Simply Better Together. I almost wore my Simply Better Together t-shirt, but decided I'd dress up just a little bit more for this meeting and because I got a board meeting later this evening as well. So, but Simply Better Together is our phrase. And if you see this little insignia, you see that Simply Better and Together, that capital E there with a 3 on it. That's really important because there's 3 E's I want to talk to you about briefly. That is why we are Simply Better Together. Because those 3 E's stand for 3 areas that we want everyone to be involved in. Expertise. We want to grow our scholars' expertise here, whether it's morally or academically. We want to help you grow as a parent. This year, we're going to be bringing back the Parent Academy, where we will have some online and in-person meetings for you to come and build some skills for yourself, learn more about the school, learn more about things like online safety over the course of the school year to help you build your expertise as we go, because we think that's important. Because if we're a school, our widget is academics. And if we're not producing good academics, then we're not doing our job as a school. But in order to build your expertise and your scholars' expertise, we need engagement. We need them here. We need them on time. We need to be engaging as a staff. We need to be engaging for you as families. We want that engagement piece for our families and for our scholars, because that grows the expertise. And the biggest way we do that is make sure we're enrolled here at the school. That's why we spend a lot of time at the beginning of the school year shoring up our enrollment, making sure people are here or are bought in, because that enrollment drives the expertise and engagement. All three of those things work together here to make us simply better together, whether it's you building your expertise as a parent, staying engaged, volunteering at different events, and the fact that you are here and have chosen us is a huge part of being simply better together. School communication is the next part. And again, if you come up with thoughts or questions as we go, throw them in the chat box. When I'm done here in the PowerPoint in a couple of minutes, I'll pop out of this and I'll go into the chat box and see what questions you may have there, and we'll try to answer them. School communication, important things to communicate. We talked a little bit about it in a discipline situation, when you should hear from your teachers, but I call it layered communication. You may hear the same thing from multiple different people, and that's important to me. Regular newsletters and updates from your teachers. Either at the K-5 grade level, you may get one from each teacher. Up in middle school, you'll have more of a group grade level type of newsletter where all the teachers contribute. You should be able to stay informed, know what's coming, know what they're studying, know what's coming up for events, either no matter where you are, that you'll hear that. I put out a communication usually on Friday afternoons. It's not every Friday, but just about every Friday over the course of the school year, you'll hear from me. It was a video communication a year ago. Previously, it's been typed. I'm not sure what I'm going to do this year. Maybe I'll type it up and then do a video. But you'll get a communication from me talking about the school week, celebrating certain things at the school, reminding you of maybe important dates or ideas. Staff should return emails, phone calls, that types of things within 24 hours. So make sure you're during regular business hours. So make sure that you are keeping in mind that our teachers and our staff here have families. They're trying to get to the same soccer practice with their kid that you're trying to get to as well. And that they need time to make sure they get back to you properly inside the limits of what their day should be like. So make sure you're patient. And if you send an email or you make a phone call, that you give the staff the proper amount of time to get back to you and get you answered. So you can always, now we'll stop 2 times over the course of the school year and have virtual in-person conferences, but you can get and request those at any time that you think is important. In fact, there are times when a teacher may call you and say, your scholar is struggling in this area. We'd like for you to come in and talk with us about how we can help shore that up, maybe how you might be able to help at home. So all those things are important with school communication, where we layer it. We want to talk to you in person sometimes, and make sure you're part of that. Just a couple more pieces of basic information, and we'll go to questions and answers. Just a reminder, school hours are 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock. That's the scholar time. That's the learning time. So as we talked about in our parent expectations, once you're here on time, once you're picked up on time, that's really important. Carpool will begin at 7:20 a.m. That's as early as you can drop anyone off. We ask our scholars to stay in the car until 7:20 or until the door at the gym opens, where students will come into the gym. We'll go over this in more detail next week when we talk about carpool times. The front door of the school opens at 7:40. So nobody comes in the front doors. From 7:20 to 7:40, you'll go into the gym. You'll sit in a grade level line. At 7:40, you're dismissed from the gym and headed out to your classrooms. At 7:40, we open the front door of the school and students begin to come in the front door. Again, we'll go over this in great detail in a week. And the dismissal starts at 3, should be completed no later than 3:40. So we want to make sure that you're there on time for that. Now, it'll be a little different on the first day of school, but again, we'll spend the first day of school and carpool next week, give you much more details about that. Today, I just wanted to give you some big general information, some big points. This is the community that you are joining. as a new family to Summerfield Charter Academy, and we really appreciate you doing that. So this is the end of today's presentation. If I go on to the next slide, you'll see carpool signs, stuff like that. We don't want to do that. That's too much for one day. So we are going to do that next Tuesday. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to come back to the room here, and I'm going to check the chat box. So and see what questions we have here and answer there after I grab me a little bit of water. I have to get my principal voice back. Haven't had to talk for 40 minutes in a long time. Question, does essay allow for IDPs? I'm assuming that's probably IEPs for children that may need it, and does that process look like? Yes, students here have IEPs. We have an entire exceptional children's special education department, 3 full-time teachers, 3 or 4 assistants that work directly with students who have some learning differences and need that exceptional help. If you have an existing IEP coming into the school, you need to make sure you communicate that with your teacher right away, so we can begin the process of looking at that IEP and seeing how we might need to respond as a school. So it'd be really important you communicate with your teachers. If over the course of the school year you think maybe my student might need some help, again, your first line of defense is go to your teacher and talk to them about that process. The process is a recommendation, and it's a study from our intervention assistant teams, and they make recommendations from that to our EC department and special education services. So there's a process in place. We train our teachers on it every year, and that'd be important. But the first thing you need to do is talk to your classroom teacher. If you have an existing IEP, bring it with you, give us a copy of it, and we can help take it from there. So let's see. Another question. I've sent an email to SEA Family Connection Gmail to do carpool, but didn't get any response to discuss this today's meeting or the next one. That could be discussed at the next one. We're not really talking much about carpool there. I'm sure the Family Connection email is run by parent volunteers, and they're probably also waiting for more input from there. I know they posted that on the Facebook site, so just be patient there. There may not be a lot of responses, so there's not a lot to give information to give you back to, but they'll be on it and get back with you, I'm sure. But they may need a little more time to see who else might need some ride sharing and whatnot to go in there. So be patient there. Yeah, make sure you make your kindergarten screening appointment. You can't see, but if over that way is where everybody's coming in. So every once in a while I can see tiny little head peeking up over the door looking at me. Are the middle school students allowed to decorate the inside of their lockers? The answer to that question is yes. As long as whatever is reasonable and appropriate, what is inside of their lockers is really up to them. Now, the lockers aren't that big, and so there's not a lot of decorations that can go. You probably better use some things with magnets because they're all metal and things like that would work. But yes, you can add your own flavor to the inside of your locker. Just make sure it's appropriate and can be on display. But yes, they can do a little bit creative with the inside of their locker. Next question: If our child is ready for the KJ after school program, what should we expect for those transitions? KJ after school, we have several after school groups that pick up buses and whatnot and take them to the place for the care. KJ after school is the only one that operates on campus. And what happens early in the school year, there's a time where our students in the afternoons, they're seated in their home rooms. And when it's appropriate, those kids would be dismissed and taken down to KJ after school. Early in the years, often some people come and they walk and get them and make sure the kids need to go. Generally, KJ after school operates towards the kindergarten hall, so it's really convenient for our younger scholars to move down to KJ, and they're like in the music room and in like a kindergarten class usually. KJ After School is a great place. It's run by 2 staff members from Greensboro Academy, people I've known for a long, long time. So it's been a great organization to partner with. So if you need after school care, I recommend KJ, but there's a lot of fine companies that come and take care to fit your needs there. So so that's kind of how that transition works. How is hot lunch being managed this year? That's a great question. Our lunch company is there's a transition, and we have a brand new lunch company. We're still learning that process. They've been here. They're trying to get themselves set up to go. We're learning more about it. I do know some general parameters. In the past, last year, because of the pandemic, lunch was free for everyone. Anybody who wanted to order lunch could get it. That is no longer the case. This year, you can qualify for free and reduced lunch. And if you do, then you will be granted free and reduced lunch. But if you do not qualify for free and reduced lunch and you want to purchase the option, then you'll have to purchase it. We're working on, it'll be an online website. And again, we're trying to assimilate that information now and get it out to everybody. So be patient there. I do know it's a different company. I do know that what they will have is a hot bar and a cold bar, and the material or the lunches will be prepared and cooked here on campus, as opposed to the meals that we had a year ago and previously, where they were really frozen meals and they were kind of just warmed up here. So we could be looking at improvement. Lunch will be served. You'll have to come to the gym, pick it up, and come back to your classroom to eat. So stay tuned for more specific information about lunch. Because of that transition, I can't give you everything, all those details right there. You missed the carpooling question. Main thing about the question you asked about carpool is just be patient. That SEA Family Connections manned by volunteers. They're doing this voluntarily. So they probably are waiting for more people to chime in on that, and then they might be able to match you up. So still a little early in that process. Just be patient. If you feel like you need to send an updated email, do that. Yeah, I think this will be an improvement for lunch. But I don't know. I don't know the company. They've been here. I've met with some people, but it sounds like it could be a real improvement for us. Last question here. Will the teachers have a list of the KJ students kept? Yes. Teachers will have a list of all of our daycare type students, but specifically for KJ. And early on, we make sure we take a little extra care in making sure, especially our little ones, know exactly where to go, when to go, until they begin to learn the process. Again, usually KJ is operating down there in kindergarten, so it's really easy for students. But we do a lot of things at the start of the school year to make sure all of our daycare kids, KJ, and the other places that come and pick up, know where to go. We escort them. We take them there until they begin to learn that routine. But we'll take care of all our daycare kids, whether they're getting on the bus or they're going down to KJ. I'm sure there are other questions or thoughts as we go through, but I don't want to take much more of your time today. So thank you so much for coming. Again, we will post this whole little chat we've had on our YouTube page for others to view and see and learn more about the school. Again, a week from now, 10 o'clock, it'll be carpool and first day of school. Massively important things to learn how to get through our carpool line, what to expect on that first day. And then we'll probably even talk a little bit about what will happen on open house night, which is a fun, exciting night here. But thank you all for joining me. If you have any questions or something that we didn't get to today, you can email me, and I'll be happy to get that. You can use that Google form that's attached to the email. I'm checking that almost daily to see if there's questions. And if there was a good question there, I would even enter it on the PowerPoint so people could answer it before we even go to this, the question and answer time. But again, next week will kind of be the same format. I'll come in, we'll talk about carpool. You'll see maps, and I'll give you the 3 keys to carpool and how to do it successfully. I'll tell you how bad it's going to be on the first couple of days of school, and then we will get you through the carpool and have you ready to go. So thanks again so much for joining me this morning. I really appreciate your input. Thank you for the good questions. If you have others, use that Google form, save it for next Tuesday. Tuesday at 10, we'll do the same thing. And thanks so much for choosing Summerfield Charter Academy and being part of this family. And I look forward to meeting a lot of you. I get to meet a few people as they come in for screening. But I look forward to meeting you open house night over the first few days of school. That's one of my favorite things to do, is to meet our new families and get to learn them and talk about them. So thank you for coming today. And again, we'll do this in a week, and we'll do it again a week after that. And then we'll do updates like this over the course of the school year for all of our parents as well. So thank you for having a good time with us today. Good morning. Again, send us any questions you'd like over the Google form. We'll get back to you. We'll see you in a week when we talk about carpool, the first days of school, and you learn more about SCA. Thanks for coming today. Have a great rest of your day.